and welcome to another episode of the Go Sokal podcast. I'm your host, Katy Welch.
And I'm your host, Chris Mulally. And today we have an awesome opportunity to talk to Bret Johnson, Account Director at Sokal, and we are going to discuss the subject that we all want to discuss, reputation management.
Your reputation.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
Bret,
everybody.
thanks for being on the show with us.
Absolutely.
We know you've been on before, so welcome back.
Thank you.
So, so Mulally kind of already started the conversation. So I know a lot of people probably may have heard the buzzword reputation management. I feel like that gets thrown around a lot. But what exactly, when you say reputation management, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so in advertising, when you're talking about reputation management, how does your business look online? So from your Google profile to your Facebook profile, it could possibly include Yelp, but just really anywhere where customers can go and interact with you through a third-party site. That's pretty much what your online reputation is, where they can rate your business by a star rating or leave comments.
All right. So obviously, I know myself, before I go buy something or go to a restaurant or something like that, usually I'm online looking to see if they've got good ratings. So, if it's got like a 1-star rating, I'm probably not going to give that business, my business. So is this why, businesses should be concerned about their reputation for the same reason? Yeah,
absolutely. I think people use Google for everything for the most part. Facebook as well are probably some of the top two. But when you go there and you look at those star ratings, people are used to doing that when they shop on Amazon. You see what do people say about this? I always click to the comments too. So more so than just the stars, but also the comments about what people are saying. And then, people sort through them to see, what do all the bad ones say? And what do the good ones say? And then they try to form their own opinion. So your reputation gets formed within those stars, within those comments. And that's really what your reputation is what do people say about you? So, yeah.
Awesome. Yep. I wanted to share a story of me. Because I always, with Lowe's, I'm big into carpentry right now. And so I always go, and every single product, I'll comb through every single review. But like you said, the comments and also the questions.
Yeah.
And what people are generally saying in terms of how well was it made? Did it hold up after 6 months or a year? And when we have a lot of automotive clients, the risks are even bigger. Are your products really holding up? Are you the best service in town? What do you when you first start the ball rolling and you want to introduce the object of reputation management to a potential client, how do you do it? What do you setting forth as maybe goals? And it seems like a lot of times you're trying to counteract public opinion. The public is speaking and saying, this is a good product or this isn't a good product. How do you work with that?
A lot of times for car dealers, it's about what happened to them. It's not so much the product. I think they'll find other places to really talk about the product. Yeah. On an individual car dealer's page, they're probably not saying Ford has this problem or whatever. They had a recall. What they're going to be talking about is how they were treated at the dealership and what their experience was like. Yeah. So one of the main touch points that you get from a car dealership perspective is service. Service is probably one of the main things that people go to most often. You're going to get a lot of people going into the service drive. That's where you're interacting with people on a daily basis. Obviously, you'll get the salespeople too. You get people when you're going in and buying a car. Right. It can be a very stressful situation for people. We all know sometimes can take a very long time, depending on what you're doing at the dealership. So the people who get upset, they'll go for sure and leave a review. But how you manage it is you really just kind of try to be open and honest and address your reviews. So if we go and we talk about a review with somebody, if we're looking at their overall reputation, do the exact same thing that a customer does. Go through and sort the comments. Which ones are the positive ones? Which are the negative ones? And what has the dealership done about those comments? So some dealerships won't respond at all, and they'll just let those comments go. Some people will say, okay, I'm going to try to respond to the negative ones. And one of the worst things to do is to get in an argument with somebody in the comments. So that's a problem. But what a dealer just needs to be doing is just be open and honest with the person that you're responding to and say, hey, we're sorry you didn't have a great experience. This is my name and number. Please call me. I'm the general manager. I'm the sales manager, service manager, whatever. So we can take care of you. And then that's it. And then you end the interaction there. You leave it up to the person to say, come in and handle the issue. But from the comment section, you've responded and you've addressed it. The other thing, though, is respond to the positive ones, too. Don't just take on the negatives. You want to go and you want to say, hey, thank you so much for coming. We really, really appreciate your business. Yep. We loved having you. We're so glad that you're happy with your new purchase. Whatever it is, it has to be real, organic. You have to be able to respond to somebody that's not a cut and paste thing, because customers are smart. They know everybody.
Absolutely.
People are smart.
Yeah.
Right? It's just people.
Absolutely.
So people know when something's fake online.
It's really fast. Did you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it's just really fascinating because everything is so transparent these days. If you're running a business, it's like immediately how you're doing in terms of the feedback you're getting online. But you're saying it's kind of like an opportunity, an invitation to continue to give positive customer service by responding to those and saying, you have a legitimate concern. Let me hear it out. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to practice good business principles. And
sometimes that's hard too. Yeah. Because the 9 times out of 10, the dealer knows who that is. From a dealership, they know what happened to that customer, and they might have tried to address it on the spot, but for whatever reason, that customer has gone online. You still got to re-respond, and you got to re-engage online to just be open and honest and say, like, we got to find a way to fix this. But that's the image. That's the reputation you have to maintain. So it's not just about what people are saying. It's how you're interacting with what the people are saying too.
Yep.
So let's talk about these reviews for a minute. So if somebody does go online, let's say, a dealership or any business, as a matter of fact, let's say they've got a ton of negative reviews. Obviously, those reviews can't be deleted.
Right.
So what is the best course of action? I mean,
it's time to get better. It's time to get better. So you've got to find a way to kind of push down the negative a little bit. Show that you've made an improvement. Because another way about sorting is you can sort by date, right? In those Google reviews. If you've had a past of a bunch of bad reviews, address the bad reviews that you can, right? Yeah. But then start trying to build new reviews. So for instance, if you're with a customer, I usually will tell a dealer, you're with a customer, the ones that are ecstatic. They're over the moon. They feel like they got a great deal. They're super happy. Maybe it's their first car they're buying. They're really, really excited. That's a great time to cultivate a good review right now. So go and you talk to that person and say, hey, thank you so much for buying the car. We're going to go back, get your car ready, shined up. But while we do it, will you use this phone or app or tablet and leave us a good review?
Oh, that's a great idea.
If you could, we'd be so
happy.
In
the midst of the emotion, right there in that moment.
While they're happy, while you've got them right there, just say, hey, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review, it's really important to us. We'd really appreciate it. I'm going to go get your car out of the wash. It's going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
And then so they're feeling good. Something else is happening. They're occupied. They're not just sitting there stewing on an issue. Sure. And then you can have it. Now,
I love that idea because I know, I've been to, hotels or restaurants or whatever, and they've given me, will you please go on Travel Advisor and, here's my name, here's my number, and review me. And I never do it because I did not intentionally.
And you don't have the opportunity.
I just forget, I'm traveling. By the time I get home, I've lost the card. I've just, but being able to do it on the spot like that, with a tablet that's dedicated to that, I think that's a brilliant idea.
The other way too is from the other side. If you know that a customer's been upset, maybe the deal didn't go as well as you expected, but you feel like you can still help them. They're still going to buy the car, just maybe it wasn't the best experience and about it. So just say, hey, we're getting your car ready. We're going to go get it washed up for you. Everything I said before, but how was your experience today? Well, I wasn't really happy about this. Well, what can I do to make it better? So right then and there, they're starting to address the issue.
Yep.
Or if you ask for that review and you say, would you be willing to give us 5 stars? And they say no, you're right there to address the issue again.
Yep.
Sure.
And hopefully that person, you could probably swing that person who someone was going to go home, be a negative online. You're addressing the issue right there. And then if you do address the issue, makes them happy and go back to step number 1, where just ask them for a positive review.
Sure. Well, I know that you mentioned, you can sort comments by dates and whatnot, so I'm assuming that it's pretty important that dealers or any business should be responding to these reviews, both positive and negative, pretty quickly.
All the time. And quickly, yes. Yeah, within a day or so. So, I mean, it's almost a daily job. And it sucks because it adds something else onto the dealer's play, or the dealer's list of things to do.
Yeah.
You can sometimes get a person within the dealership to be the champion of that. Or there's other opportunities like, there's different products out there that exist that you can use to manage your reputation. So it's companies out there that will provide a solution that can respond to reviews for you. There'll be custom responses that are written in the voice of the dealership. So it's not just a bot or anything like that, but it's actually a real person responding on your behalf.
Oh, okay.
So there's ways to manage it.
It's not like a custom response. It's more like there's actually a person responding to this. Oh, okay.
Real person responding to the review for you, and positive or negative. They can also escalate the review. If it's a really, really bad one and they don't want to respond right away, they could email the dealer and say, hey, this is what I was going to say. Are you cool with this?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's nice too.
Yeah. So there's several products out there that can do that. Yeah.
If you are a smaller business, how would you go about delegating like this opportunity for the reputation management in terms of like responding to stuff? And is it maybe the same person that you'd have that's doing the posts for you on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff? Or is it
exactly?
Is it totally? Would you consider it like kind of a different department or something like that?
I'd consider it like social media. Yep. I mean, in the fact that they're probably using some form of social media to respond to you, whether it's Facebook or Google, or whatever it is. But yeah, that would be the social media manager's job. Whoever is taking on that responsibility, I would say they're the people to engage with those customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, here's one more thing you need to work on.
Another thing to work on, and I think this is what you guys talk about all the time with these podcasts. Like, here's something else to work on, but it's also just something you got to pay attention to.
Yep.
Well, and I think that kind of also brings up another kind of issue is that, especially if you're a smaller dealership, you may not have a huge budget for advertising.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a way, and this is something that, whether or not you do it yourself or you use an outside, management system, I feel like this is a pretty cost-effective way to help boost your reputation, your name, your business.
It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, we've got solutions that are very, very low cost, and I'm talking about like a few $100s.
Right.
We're not talking about more than $5. We're not talking 1,000, tens of thousands, nothing like that. Even though it's probably that valuable to a dealership because that's your image. There's very, very cheap programs out there that can solve these problems, that can handle it and manage it with a way that's got measurable results.
Sure. I feel like that's a very cost effective when you're in the grand scheme of things, when advertising can get so expensive.
Yep.
And that's still something that we're looking at in social media in general. You and I have had conversations about this in the past where you can get a lot of bang for your buck with social media.
For sure.
And so this is another aspect that you're talking about social media good practices. Responding to people when they leave comments on the stuff that you present. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
This is almost the exact same concept, but applied particularly to what are the terms, the phrases, the expressions people use when they describe the experience coming to my business. You know what I mean? Is it good? Was it slow? Is it fast? What do you know what's
funny about that, about those words? Have you ever seen the word bubbles?
Yeah, definitely.
Like where you'll analyze some text and you'll see what is the most common word that's used. We have a product that can actually do that. So it'll look at all your reviews and find out what's the most common thing.
Wow.
Is it a negative term or is it a positive thing? A lot of times it comes up service.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because like I said at the beginning, the service drive is what drives it, but it's also customer service. Yeah. And everything is related to like my service experience and how you serve the customer.
Yeah.
But you can use these tools to see what are people talking about. What's the overall theme?
Well, and even companies now, I know I got my car serviced the other day, and their service manager was like, "You're probably going to get a survey in the next couple days, and we would appreciate if you had any issues. We appreciate you let us know before you fill out your survey." I mean, so I feel like even big corporations are really putting value on this, even at that level. And
dealers know that the surveys are important because the surveys that come from the factory are separate from this idea of reputation. But it's the surveys that come from the dealer or from the factory rather are important for the salesmen themselves.
Yes.
It directly affects their pay in many cases. Unless you get a 10 out of 10, they always tell you this is like, if there's anything less than a 10 out of a 10, please let me know what we can do to make a 9 out of 10 today. Or
but they're probably not going to get good survey scores corporately if you're not willing to leave them a good message on Google or Facebook or whatever. If you're a good review there, you're probably not going to get a good survey score. So, kind of feel like it goes hand in hand almost.
Yeah. But my point of that is dealers are already familiar with how to do this.
Yes.
Yeah. They've been doing it for years with the factory surveys.
Yep.
So they kind of prep the customer to say, hey, you're going to get this survey. You might as well do it for your reputation management
Sure.
too. You got to tell them, where else are you going to be expected to leave a review? And that's why I like the idea of doing it in the showroom, trying to get somebody right after they've made a sale, or if right after they visited the service drive. You can email them, you can text them, you can say thank you so much via email or text and get that review right now. And then the factory one comes later. And then chances are, if you handled that immediate review well, and you already knew that on Google they're going to give you 5 stars, they're probably going to do a good review for you with the factory too. So it's just another way to that dealers can work this into their own systems that they already do.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I circle back really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Earlier, Katie brought up the whole idea of like, if you have a bunch of bad reviews, like how can this work for you?
Yeah.
How, like if somebody has no reviews at all, or if they have like a collection of bad reviews and maybe they want to make a change, like do you have any thoughts or advice like in terms of that from your perspective?
Yeah, it's trying to invite people to review you. So whether that's in the showroom or send an invite via text, send an invite via email, just trying to get the volume. You have to push people sometimes to leave a positive review. Kind of like I touched on before, you'll get the folks who are negative about something. Yeah. Those people are going to go. They're probably going to be the easiest one to go and review you, right?
Sure.
The people who've got something bad to say. But the ones that are the positive reviews, that takes work. And you've got to invite that person, give them a reason to come review you positively. That's the hard one to get, but it takes an effort from everybody involved at the dealership to start increasing those reviews, making a bad reputation good, or starting from scratch. So yeah.
And then did you want to touch on any more of the difference between like organically doing it? I don't know if organic is the right word, but doing it yourself versus doing it through an automated system or some kind of software or anything like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Like the pros and cons of
it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Just like anything that dealers do, it comes down to how do they want to utilize their time. I say this to dealers all the time. What if I can give you a product reasonably priced, solves everything that you need, and allows you to go back to doing what you want to do, which is sell cars, which is make money for the dealership, sell cars. And a lot of times that's what they use to factor in their decision. If they're going to sit down and do it themselves, someone has to do it, number one. Somebody has to. So either somebody in the dealership or somebody else, third party. So it's just figuring out how much is it worth it to your time to be able to take that off your plate, not have to worry about it, have one person who can come back, deliver some reporting to you and say, this is how well you're doing, and this is what we need to improve, and here's our metrics for success. And then they just don't have to worry about it. So and
that would get you closer to more sales as well, because you can go back to focusing on selling.
Well, I think it's also a catch-22. If you have good reviews, you're more likely to going to be getting people in your door. So if you have somebody or a software, that is taking care of this for you, and you're getting 5-star reviews for even 4-star reviews, that's pretty good.
There's a stat, and I can't quote it off the top of my head exactly what the number is. Maybe we can Google it and put it on screen later. Or maybe while I'm talking right now. But it's for every star increase in your reputation, you have the ability to earn X number of dollars.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's been several studies out there that'll say, based on your rating, you can increase your revenue just by getting stars. 0.5 star, 1 star.
That's awesome.
It equates to more business.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely agree with that.
Can you recount like biggest concerns people have when you're like, you got to do this, like or like things that they're like
pushback that maybe
pushback.
You get.
Or is there pushback?
Not really. Everybody, once you start this kind of conversation, it comes up from some reason or another. They've gone on Google.
Sure.
Somebody maybe left them a bad review, or they see that their scores are low. So there's not really a whole lot of pushback with the dealer knowing that they have to do it. It's just a matter of how we're going to do it. And who's going to take it on.
They're like, Brett, would you please do this?
And I'm like, for sure. We're going to get it done. We're going to handle it. So.
It's such an interesting subject, and it's a lot of our business handles stuff that's newer and nature.
Well, I think that's the thing too. You know, probably
It's
10, especially
10 years ago,
10
yeah.
years ago. Yeah, Google was around, of course. So I don't think reviews had that much weight necessarily.
Right.
10 years ago as it does like today.
Yeah,
I
the
think
peer
now it's
review.
because I think it's the peer review now. You
It's
know, with social
incredible,
media
yeah.
and all these channels, people can just get anything out there. And I think us being at home with the pandemic the past 2 years, people are we're really glued to their phones,
For
probably
sure.
more so than ever.
Yeah.
And I think reviews now probably have much more weight even now than it did 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Is there anything else? I mean, obviously, we're in our podcast, and we talked about it. We want to educate. We want to offer information that can help, like not only our clients, potential clients down the road, to achieve the success they want to get.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say in terms of? You've said a lot about reputation management, but like kind of an insider secret or anything that you want to pass on in closing or anything?
No, not really. I mean, it's one is just recognize the importance of it. Because it is important. It is your virtual business. It is your virtual reputation. But also realize that there's solutions out there. Any problem that a dealer has with, whether it's advertising related or whether it's reputation related, which might not seem like advertising, to some, we've got a solution for it. There's a solution that's out there that exists. It's proven. It works. It can get a dealer back to selling cars.
Yep.
That's really it.
I think that's the big thing, like the big takeaway that I think I
Yeah,
got
me
from this.
too.
That is, even if your reviews aren't where they need to be, there's there's room to turn that around.
Oh,
Like
for
you
sure.
can work on that. You can get that turned around. It might take some time.
Yep.
But it can be done.
Yeah.
That was one takeaway. And then the other one that was cool, I mean, there's lots of cool things you said, but the other one that really stuck with me is getting them at a certain point, like not getting them, but like reaching them, connecting with them at a certain point.
Yeah.
Oh, you just bought the car? While they're doing this, while they're detailing it, why don't you fill this out for me?
Yeah,
So
take
it's
that-
like that, getting that emotion in the moment when they're feeling that joy, or if they're feeling that sadness and that suffering. God, this is a bad experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I want to take that off your shoulders, so to speak. I want you to walk out of here with a better experience.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
just finding those opportunities to talk to the customer, being open and honest, being clear with the customer, being clear online, and just responding. That's really, really what it is. I think that's what people want to see. They want to see openness
Yes.
and clarity, and they want to see the truth.
Yes.
And if you can prove that you're the kind of business that operates that way, you're going to be successful. So.
Sure. Well, Brett, thank you so much for coming on
Yeah,
and having this
thank you.
conversation
Thanks
with
a
us.
lot,
I know
Brett.
I personally learned a lot from it, and
Me too.
I hope that our listeners and our viewers did as well. So, with that being said, if you want to learn more about reputation management using Sokal, you can always go to our website at gosokal.com. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're watching this or listening to this, we really do appreciate you guys.